Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey into one of the truly monumental epics of all time, the Ramayana.
Hmm.
And this isn't just some ancient story, right? It's a profound exploration of human existence, a source of timeless wisdom. It's shaped cultures for millennia.
Absolutely.
Attributed to sage Valmiki, this ancient Sanskrit work, it's thought to have emerged, somewhere between 500 BCE and 100 DCE?
That's the time frame, yeah. And it's truly a foundational text. I mean, it's a literary masterpiece, but it also functions as this uh, deeply philosophical and ethical guide.
Right?
Think about it, 24,000 verses, all meticulously structured across 7 candas. You can think of those as books or major sections.
7 books, okay.
And each one explores these huge universal concepts,
Mm.
like dharma, which is this fascinating idea of sort of righteous conduct, duty,
Duty, yeah.
alongside karma, love, loyalty, leadership struggles, even shifting ideas about gender roles and, the whole path of spiritual growth. But what's really key, I think, is that it's not just some dusty old document. It's what scholars call a living tradition. It's constantly being retold, reinterpreted across centuries, across cultures, even right now.
And that's exactly our mission here in this deep dive. We want to try and distill the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from this epic.
Yeah,
Give you a bit of a shortcut, maybe, to understanding not just the main story, the core narrative, but also its deeper philosophical side and its undeniable lasting impact.
definitely.
So, okay, let's unpack this epic journey. You mentioned 7 candas. For someone listening, maybe they know the basics, but what are the really pivotal moments, the key takeaways from each section that sort of define Rama's path?
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, instead of just a plot summary, let's hit the essence. We start with the Balakanda, the book of childhood.
Okay.
So Prince Rama is born to King Dasharatha and Queen Kausaya. But right away, he's presented as more than just a prince. He's an avatar Vishnu.
An incarnation, yeah.
Exactly. Destined to confront the demon king Ravana. And a key moment here is his marriage to Sita. He wins her hand
Hmm.
by breaking Shiva's incredibly powerful bow.
Wow.
It symbolizes not just a marriage, but like a divine partnership set up for this higher purpose. It really lays the groundwork for all the challenges to come.
So that defined purpose is established early on, but then things take a very human turn, don't they? A pretty
Yeah.
painful one.
Oh, absolutely. The Ayodhya Kanda.
Wow.
That's where the divine plan kind of crashes into human scheming, devastatingly so.
Right.
King Dasharatha, he plans to crown Rama. It seems all set. But then his stepmother, Kaikeyi, she's manipulated by her maid, Manthara. She suddenly demands 2 things.
Oh,
Yeah, Rama's 14-year exile to the forest, and her own son, Bharata, gets the crown instead.
14 years.
14 years. And the really profound thing here, the insight, is Rama's reaction. He just accepts it without question.
Just like that.
Just like that. He embodies dharma, duty, not something easy, but is this agonizing choice sometimes.
Hmm.
The most righteous path demands the deepest personal sacrifice. It shows honor as something costly, not just a nice idea. And Sita and his brother, Lakshmana, they choose to go with him into exile.
That decision, Rama's acceptance, it immediately sets up the next stage, right? The forced exile. This isn't just about changing locations, is it? It feels like a journey into temptation, consequences.
Precisely. The Aranyakanda, the forced exile, they're living this relatively simple life, encountering sages, but also demons. And it gets shattered.
How so?
Ravana's sister, Surpanaka, she gets rejected by Rama, tries to attack Sita, and Lakshmana ends up humiliating her, cutting off her nose and ears.
Ouch.
Yeah, and this lights the fuse for Ravana's revenge. He concocts this elaborate plan involving a demon named Maricha, disguised as a magical golden deer.
A golden deer, okay.
It lures Rama away, chasing it, then lures Lakshmana away too, leaving Sita vulnerable. And that's when Ravana swoops in and kidnaps her.
So that's how it happens.
That's the moment. And there's this heartbreaking detail of the old vulture king Jatayu trying heroically to stop Ravana but failing, getting mortally wounded. It just highlights the brutal reality of deception and the huge consequences when Ravana's desire for revenge, his desire for Sita, runs wild. It's a stark warning about chasing illusions.
So after that devastating loss, Rama needs help. Which brings us to the Kishkinda and the Monkey Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Unexpected allies.
Yes, exactly. And it's a really crucial turning point. Rama meets Sugriva, who's also an exiled king, a monkey king. Rama helps him defeat his usurping brother, Vali,
A deal, basically.
pretty much. In return, Sugriva promises his army's help to find Sita. And this Kunda is where we meet Hanuman,
Ah, Hanuman.
Sugriva's loyal general who becomes Rama's most devoted follower. This section is really about forging alliances, finding strength in unexpected places, loyalty, mutual support. It's where the hope for rescuing Sita starts to feel possible, even against huge odds.
And speaking of Hanuman, the next book, the Sundarakanda, it feels like it's almost entirely his story, like the ultimate solo mission, a leap of faith.
It absolutely is. Sundarakanda means the beautiful book, and it focuses almost entirely on Hanuman's incredible feat. He literally leaps across the ocean to Lanka, Ravana's fortress kingdom.
Just leaps.
An incredible, powerful leap. He finds Sita, held captive in a garden called Ashoka Vatika. He gives her Rama's ring as proof, a sign of hope.
A crucial connection.
Hugely crucial. Then he allows himself to be captured, confronts Ravana, and as a final act of defiance, sets large parts of Lanka on fire with his burning tail before leaping back.
Wow.
It's not just heroism, though. It's seen as this perfect example of Nishkama Bhakti's selfless devotion,
Yeah.
acting purely out of love for Rama, no thought of reward. It's devotion in action, bridging literally impossible distances.
And all of that, Hanuman's mission, finding Sita, it sets the stage for the climax. The Uttarakhanda, the war book, good versus evil on a massive scale.
This is it, the huge confrontation. Rama, aided now by Sugriva's army of monkeys and bears, builds this legendary bridge, the Setu, across the sea to Lanka.
The bridge made of floating rocks, right?
That's the one. Then follows this epic, fierce battle. Rama faces Ravana and his incredibly powerful sons like Indrajit and the giant Kumbhakarna. Ultimately, Rama is victorious. Ravana is slain.
Victory. But it's not quite a simple happy ending there, is it?
No, and this is where things get really complex and frankly debated even today. After the victory, doubts are whispered in the camp about Sita's purity, having been held captive by Ravana.
Even after everything.
Even after everything. This leads to her trial by fire, the Agni Pariksha. She enters the flames to prove her chastity, and the fire god Agni himself presents her, unharmed, proving her purity. So they return to Ayodhya. Rama is finally crowned king. But this whole section, it doesn't just cover war and justice. It forces you to confront really difficult questions about societal judgment, reputation, especially concerning women, questions we still grapple with.
Definitely. And that leads us to the final book, the Uttarakhanda. You mentioned it's sometimes seen as a later edition, but it contains this truly heartbreaking twist.
It does. It's quite tragic. In the Uttarakhanda, despite the fire trial, public gossip and whispers continue in Ayodhya about Sita's time in Lanka.
Still.
And Rama, feeling bound by his duty as a king to be above reproach in the eyes of his people, his dharma as a ruler, makes this agonizing decision.
What does he do?
He exiles Sita, again, even though she's pregnant with his children.
Oh, that's rough.
It's incredibly painful. He prioritizes his public duty, his kingly reputation, over his personal love and knowledge of her innocence. Sita finds refuge in sage Valmiki's ashram,
The author of the epic itself.
the very same. There she gives birth to their twin sons, Lava and Kusha. Years later, these boys unknowingly recite the Ramayana, their own story, in Rama's court.
Wow, that must have been a moment.
A powerful moment. But when Rama asks Sita to return, perhaps undergo another trial to satisfy the public, she refuses. She's endured enough scrutiny. Instead, she calls upon Mother Earth, Bhumi Devi, to take her back, to vouch for her purity. The earth opens up, and she disappears into it.
A final, powerful statement.
A statement of ultimate dignity, yeah. This section, though debated by some scholars as maybe not part of the original, really pushes hard on themes of public versus private morality, the immense, sometimes tragic weight of leadership, and, well, the strength and dignity of the feminine spirit against an unforgiving society. Rama eventually ascends to heaven, his earthly mission complete.
It's just remarkable how this ancient narrative sets up these incredibly profound philosophical questions. So, moving beyond the plot itself, what are the really big, enduring ideas the Ramayana wants us to grapple with?
Yeah, this is where the deep dive really goes deep, right? At the absolute core is dharma. We talked about it.
Right. Duty, righteousness.
Exactly. Rama's unwavering commitment to dharma, even when it cost him dearly, personally.
Yeah.
That's central. But it's not presented as simple. It's complex, it's debated. Modern readers especially look at some of his choices, particularly later on, and ask, does his rigid adherence to dharma always lead to justice? especially for Sita. It
Hmm.
forces us, forces you listening to consider the real sacrifices involved in living a life guided purely by principle. Is it always the right way?
And that seems to connect to this tension between the ideal and the human. Rama is often called Maryada Purushottam, the ideal man. But what does that actually mean in practice? Does it leave room for being, well, human?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Yes, he's presented as the ideal man, perfect restraint, perfect virtue. Sita, the ideal wife. Lakshmana, the ideal brother. These are powerful archetypes.
Right.
But it creates this fascinating dynamic. Does striving for that kind of perfection, that ideal sometimes, suffocate genuine human emotion? Does Rama's restraint sometimes look like coldness?
Yeah, you could see that.
The Ramayana, by showing us these seemingly perfect figures, subtly invites us to ask, where's the line between the divine ideal and human fallibility? Emotion, complexity, messiness. It's like a mirror, reflecting our own struggles with trying to be good versus just being real.
And when we talk about fallibility and ideals, Sita's character just becomes such a huge focal point, doesn't she? Especially around justice and gender.
Absolutely. Sita's journey is central to so many modern readings. Her trial by fire, his second exile, they spark intense critique. For many, she's become this powerful feminist touchstone.
How so?
Well, she's shown as incredibly resilient, pure, virtuous, yet she's undeniably oppressed by patriarchal authority, by societal expectations, by Rama's decisions as king.
Hmm.
Her story forces us to confront really difficult questions about a woman's agency, her reputation, the unfair burdens often placed on women then and, frankly, now. It challenges us to ask, what is real justice? And who pays the price for it sometimes?
And then standing almost in contrast to that complex human drama, you have Hanuman. He seems almost purely about devotion.
He really does. Hanuman is the embodiment of bhakti devotion, particularly nishkama bhakti, which means selfless devotion.
Selfless. Right.
He acts purely out of love and loyalty for Rama. There's no personal agenda, no desire for reward or recognition. His incredible actions that leap across the ocean, his courage in Lanka, they aren't driven by ego. They're driven by unshakable faith. He represents the immense power that selfless dedication can unlock. He shows us what devotion in action looks like.
It's just incredible how this epic operates on so many levels. Not just the story, but the symbolism packed into it. It feels very rich.
Oh, it's absolutely a masterclass in allegory and symbolism. Take Ravana. He's not just a 10-headed demon king. He
Right.
personifies something terrifying, intellect disconnected from ethics. He's a genius, incredibly knowledgeable, powerful, but it's all corrupted by his massive ego, his unchecked desires. He's a warning, really, about chasing power or knowledge without a moral compass.
That's a powerful image. What about the forest? The Aranya?
The forest isn't just a setting for the exile. It's a symbolic space. It's a place of spiritual testing, a crucible for learning detachment, for self-discovery, away from the comforts and constraints of the palace. Okay. And those big physical acts within the story, building the bridge to Lanka, for example, Setu, that bridge, it's hugely symbolic. It represents the union of natural forces, the monkeys, the bears, even the stones with human willpower and divine grace, all collaborating to overcome what seems like an insurmountable obstacle. It's about faith, collective effort.
Right. Right.
And Sita's Agni Pariksha, her trial by fire, that speaks volumes about how truth and virtue often have to face intense public scrutiny, doubt, how they're forced to prove themselves in these public ordeals, even when their purity is inherent.
And Hanuman's leap.
Again, profoundly symbolic. It's that leap of faith, isn't it? The power of pure devotion to bridge seemingly impossible distances, physical or otherwise, overcoming any obstacle through faith.
This story's influence is just immense. It seems to have permeated cultures globally. How did it spread so widely? What different forms does it take today?
The reach is truly astonishing. In India, obviously, it's foundational. It's woven into Hindu rituals, into performance arts like dance drama and puppetry, into moral education for children.
And festivals too, right?
Absolutely. Big festivals like Diwali, celebrating Rama's triumphant return to Ayodhya and Dussehra, marking Ravana's defeat, are directly rooted in the Ramayana narrative. They keep the story alive every year.
But it goes way beyond India.
Oh, far beyond. Across Southeast Asia, it's been adapted and integrated into local cultures for centuries. You find major versions like the Ramakien in Thailand,
Ah, yes.
and significant traditions in Indonesia, Cambodia, Laos, Bali, each with its own unique flavor, reflecting local beliefs and artistic styles.
So it's not like there's just one single Ramayana text everyone follows.
Not at all. That's a key point. It started with Valmiki's Sanskrit epic, which is revered as the Adhikavya or first poem.
Hmm.
But then came incredibly popular regional versions, like Tulsidas' Ramcharitmanas in Awadhi, which is hugely influential in North India,
Okay.
and Kamban's Ramavataram in Tamil in the South. Plus, literally hundreds of folk versions, oral traditions, local retellings,
And it's still evolving. People are still retelling it.
constantly. That's what makes it so vibrant. Contemporary authors, you have people like Amish Tripathi, Chitra Banerjee, Divakaruni, Devdutt Patnaik. They're actively reimagining the story. They're exploring different character perspectives, questioning gender dynamics, digging into the ethical gray areas. It proves just how alive and adaptable this epic tradition truly is.
It's clearly a text of immense power, beauty, full of these timeless themes. But, we have to acknowledge the complexities, the ongoing debates around it, especially today.
You're absolutely right to bring that up. It wouldn't be a proper deep dive without acknowledging that.
Yeah.
The Ramayana's strengths are undeniable, right? The layered storytelling, the powerful archetypes, the deep moral questions, the complex characters. They're human, divine, flawed, relatable.
Yeah.
It weaves together narrative, philosophy, ethics, devotion so skillfully.
Mm.
And the core emotional themes, exile, loyalty, love, betrayal, war, sacrifice, beauty, they just resonate across any time period.
But there are criticisms.
Yes, significant ones,
Oh.
especially concerning the treatment of Sita. Her trial by fire, and particularly her second exile in the Uttarakanda, are highly controversial. Many view these events as clear examples of patriarchal injustice baked into the narrative structure.
That's a major point of discussion.
A huge one. Also, Rama's idealism. While often praised, sometimes, especially in that later book, it can come across as rigid, maybe even emotionally repressed, or prioritizing abstract duty over personal relationships in a way that feels troubling to modern sensibilities. These points of tension, these criticisms, they aren't weaknesses in a way. They ensure the Ramayana remains this living, breathing text that we constantly argue about, discuss, and reinterpret.
So, as we bring this deep dive toward a close, it really strikes me that engaging with the Ramayana, it's much more than just reading an old book. It feels like a really profound personal encounter.
That's a perfect way to put it. What's truly insightful, I think, about the Ramayana is that it's not just a story you observe from a distance. It really functions as an emotional and spiritual mirror.
A mirror. How so?
Well, you look into it, and it reflects back your own aspirations, maybe your ideals of dharma, of loyalty, of selflessness, like Hanuman. But it also reflects back what you might fear becoming perhaps the unchecked ego you see in Ravana, or maybe the potential rigidity of sticking to ideals without compassion.
I see.
Every character, every ethical dilemma, every choice they make, it reflects a different layer of yourself, potentially. You might find yourself questioning Rama's decisions, feeling Sita's pain deeply, drawing strength from Hanuman's example, this kind of inner reaction, this churning. It reveals that the Ramayana isn't really about some unattainable, perfect divinity. It's about the very human, very real struggle to navigate cosmic challenges, cosmic trials, and still try to choose the righteous path, even amidst our own imperfections.
The Ramayana, then, truly is a song of humanity, perhaps even more than divinity. In these epic verses, we find our deepest values, yes, but also our silent doubts, our timeless questions. It feels like we don't just read the Ramayana, we reflect it. Because every exile, every return, every trial by fire, and every hard-won triumph seems to echo somewhere inside us still.